At least 5 senior leaders of Arambai Bengal were reportedly picked up by security agencies. The leaders, according to reports, were picked up around 9:30 p.m. They shattered the fragile peace that we saw in Manipur over the past few months since President's rule was imposed. Protesters and security forces engaged in gunfights, and angry protesters were seen past 11 p.m. near the Imphal airport charging at security vehicles. According to reports, security vehicles were torched and some protesters suffered injuries during the violence. The leaders were apparently picked up from Uripok on the basis of specific charges. Northeast Live is trying to contact the authorities for details. Roads, including those leading to the airport, are blocked and mobile and internet services have been suspended in Imphal East and West, Thaubal, Kakching and Bishnupur districts of the state. Meanwhile, protesters have called a total 10 days shutdown in Imphal Valley, exempting only medical services and media. The situation is tense.
Let's get.
In from Manipur, authorities in the state have imposed curfew in Imphal Valley and shut down internet services as large-scale violence broke out late yesterday evening and continued throughout the night after at least 5 senior leaders of Arambai Bengal were reportedly picked up by security agencies. The leaders, according to reports, were picked up around 9:30 p.m. and this shattered the fragile peace that we saw in Manipur over the past few months since President's rule was imposed. Protesters and security forces engaged in gunfights, and angry protesters were seen past 11 p.m. near the Imphal airport charging at security vehicles. And according to reports, security vehicles were torched and some protesters suffered injuries in the violence.
हम दोनों पकड़ो इस सेट में बात करिए डीजीपी से बिजली कहाँ है अभी हम डीजीपी के पास जाएगा घबरा को आप कंडी कीजिए हम उसके पास जाएगा हम दोनों पकड़वाएगा क्या करेगा हम डीजीपी से मिलने होम मिनिस्टर को भी हम कंडी करो.
All right, and these are exclusive Northeast Live visuals on your screens. Viewers, Rajya Sabanti speaking there on your screens following the unrest that happened in Manipur last night.
हम दोनों पकड़ो।
प्लीज सर मैं बात करिए डीजीपी से।
बिजली कहाँ है अभी? हम डीजीपी के पास जाएगा, घबरा को आप कंडे कीजिए।
And situation remains tense there in Manipur as a massive street violence erupted after 5 Arambai Bengal members were picked up by security agencies. These are exclusive visuals on your screens.
हमने बहुत कोशिश किया है शांति लाने के लिए, ऐसे करने से क्या कहाँ से शांति आएगा भाई? ये आप हमको भरोसा रखो, ये 1 लाख के ऊपर संख्या है उसका, वो वायलेंस करने से कौन कंट्रोल करेगा? सर हम दोनों पकड़ो।
प्लीज सर मैं बात करिए डीजीपी से।
बिजली कहाँ है अभी? हम डीजीपी के पास जाएगा, घबरा को आप कंडे कीजिए, हम उसके पास जाएगा।
All right, and joining us this morning over the phone line is our editor-in-chief Vasbir Hussain to give us more on this. Vasbir, a large-scale violence broke out in Imphal Valley late yesterday evening after at least 5 senior members of the Arambai Bengal were reportedly picked up by security agencies. Vasbir, the tense situation just refuses to die down in Manipur. Over to you.
Yes, good morning, Amrita. These are very, very disturbing news coming from Manipur. And, the trigger for this street violence, the pictures and visuals of which we are seeing on our screen, exclusively on the screen of Northeast Live, these are very, very disturbing visuals that we are seeing after a gap of a couple of weeks and couple of months of fragile peace that we saw in Manipur. The picture is hazy. What is clear is the street violence. The fact that there has been very, very intense street battles last night started from around 9:30 in the evening. That is for sure. But what is not clear is the exact trigger for this violence. Now, what we are gathering is that the security agencies have picked up 5 senior leaders of the Arambai Bengal. And the Arambai Bengal, as you know, is a radical Métis group that is pushing in their own way the rights of the Métis in the Imphal Valley. Now, 5 senior leaders of the Arambai Bengal are reported to have been picked up by security agencies from Uripok and other areas between 9 and 9:30 a.m. That is what we are gathering. Northeast Live is continuously trying to speak to Manipur government officials for their view, their version of what has actually happened, whether the Arambai Bengals were actually picked up or not, and if they were picked up, what were the reasons why they were picked up. That is what we need to know. We are trying to ascertain. But what we are gathering so far is that between 9 to 9:30, 5 senior leaders of the Arambai Bengal were picked up by security agencies from Uripok and other areas in Imphal. Now, there is a large posse of security forces landed up in Uripok area and picked up a few leaders. That's what we are gathering. We'll wait for details from the authorities in Imphal and then update you viewers. But after that, what we are seeing on the streets is that a large number of people came out, protesters came out, and there was a gunfight between the security forces and some of the protesters. Now, whether these protesters also belong to Arambai Bengal, we don't know. But the fact remains that some of the protesters had also been carrying firearms, and that is the reason why there has been a shootout. And there have been instances where security forces also opened fire, because we have got visuals of a few people being injured and being carried to hospitals. After that, the authorities took a number of steps. They imposed curfew in almost the whole of the Imphal Valley and suspended internet services. On their part, the protesters, towards the later part of the night, declared a 10-day shutdown. 10-day total shutdown has been declared by the protesters. So that's what also we are gathering, total shutdown for 10 days. So these are the developments. These are fast-paced developments in Manipur, Amrita.
Right, Vasbir, of course, we know that a 10-day shutdown has been called by the protesters. Internet has been suspended, curfew imposed, and of course, as you rightly mentioned, Vasbir, intense street violence was seen on the streets of Manipur last night. Now, what now for Manipur as far as the situation is concerned? How is it going to impact the overall situation after relative calm?
Well, this is going to only worsen the situation because we will request the producers to play that visual of MP, Rajya Sabha MP Sana Jauba, and that visual is not very clear where he is, but we presume, going by the conversation, that he's somewhere outside the Raj Bhavan or outside the office of the DGP, and he's telling the officials or the security guards, saying that you'd like to meet somebody. I think he'd like to meet the governor. He said that this kind of incidents will only shatter the fragile peace in Manipur. He was referring to the arrest of some of these men, following which the street protests broke out. That's what he has been hard saying. We will try to play that Sana Joba. Yes.
Right. Okay, Vasbir, we'll ask our PCR team to play that particular visual where Sana Joba is speaking.
Amrita, as soon as they play, you let me know so that I can stop my commentary for a while. But at this point in time, Amrita, this is a very, very disturbing situation. But what we are gathering is that there has been specific FIRs lodged against a few members of the Arambai Tengal by some of the security officials. That's what we are gathering. Some specific FIRs accusing, leveling some specific charges on the basis of which at least one or two Arambai Tengal leaders were picked up by security agencies last night. That's what we are gathering. But without confirmation from the security agencies, it's very difficult to ascertain as to who picked up this Arambai Tengal men and what was the specific reason for this pickup. But we know that the National Investigation Agency is already probing cases against some of the Arambai Tengal, including the leader Kumam. That cases is going on, and the NIA is investigating the charges, and there has been a thorough investigation going on as far as some of the Arambai Tengal leaders are concerned, or for that matter, the whole organization as such. But yesterday's incident where few Arambai Tengal men were picked up, we are picking up is that they have been picked up on the basis of some specific FIRs lodged by some security officials.
Yes.
That's what we are gathering. But that has led to the street protest, and that situation has escalated, forcing the authorities to impose curfew and suspend the internet services. I think we have got Sana Joba back on the screen.
Yes, we have that visual.
Let's listen in.
हम दोनों पकड़ो।
सर ने बात करी है डीजीपी से।
बिजली कहाँ है अभी? हम डीजीपी के पास जाएगा, घबरा को आप कंडे कीजिए, हम उसके पास जाएगा, हम दोनों पकड़वाएगा। क्या करेगा? हम डीजीपी से मिलने उनको फोन किया। होम मिनिस्टर को भी हम कंडे करो। हमने बहुत कोशिश किया है शांति लाने के लिए। ऐसे करने से क्या, कहाँ से शांति आएगा भाई? ये आप हमको भरोसा रखो, ये 1 लाख के ऊपर संख्या है उसका। वो वायलेंस करने से कौन कंट्रोल करेगा? हम दोनों पकड़ो।
Yes, Vasbir, we can clearly see the exclusive visuals on our screens where MP, Rajya Sabha MP Sana Jauba is speaking after this whole situation erupted. Over to you, Vasbir.
Yes, absolutely. That and now these are also disturbing visuals. There are a lot of group of people have gathered, huge group of people have gathered, and they are raising some slogans. We will take a look at those visuals also, as well as the visuals of the gunshots and the large-scale arsoning in the city of Imphal, torching, burning down of police vehicles, and a lot of burning down of tires and so on and so forth. So there is a whole lot of street violence. There is intense street battles witnessed in Imphal yesterday, and that has forced the authorities to clamp curfew. And protesters in turn have clamped a 10-day shutdown in the Imphal Valley, exempting only the media and medical emergency services. That's what they have said. But the picture is still hazy. But it's an uneasy calm this morning. These are visuals that we are showing from visuals of the night. There were free for all almost, and there was this is also a very where a large number of people gathered and raising slogans. Let's put the ambience and listen to what these men are maybe saying.
Yes, boss.
Big challenge. Manipur is under president's rule, and it will be a big challenge for the governor to restore normality once again, because this is a very catch-22 situation for him. If there are specific charges against specific members of the Arambai Tengal, the security forces are going to act on that because FIRs have been lodged. But on the other hand, arresting people from the Arambai Tengal, as we have seen, is leading to street protests. So this is also complicating the situation. Now, the overall situation in Manipur, the broad issue of the ethnic violence between the Kukis and the Meiteis, that is as yet unresolved. And there has been serious, sincere efforts by the Ministry of Home Affairs and the Union government to resolve this ethnic violence. And there has been 2 rounds of discussions between the Ministry of Home Affairs and civil society organizations from the Imphal Valley, and there has been efforts to break the deadlock, bring the two sides, divide the trust deficit between the two sides. And on that occasion, the civil societies demanded that the internally displaced people should go back to their respective homes, so on and so forth. So there have been 2 rounds. The government has been trying, but without much of a success so far. But at the end of the day, the ethnic violence can be resolved only through dialogue, and that dialogue has to be broad-based between the 2 communities. Only then some kind of a roadmap can be prepared for a peaceful resolution, an acceptable resolution to the ethnic upsurge that has rocked Manipur for more than 2 years now. So that is the situation. Now, of course, in the last couple of weeks, there have been intense demand in Manipur for the restoration of a popular government in the state. Remember, after presidential rule was imposed 4 to 5 months back, the assembly was not dissolved. It has been kept in animated suspension, meaning that the assembly can be revived anytime and the government installed. And now there were protesters. There are several organizations are angry at the elected representatives, they're angry at the MLAs for their inability to form a popular government in the state. So the MLAs, the elected representatives, are also under tremendous pressure to form an elected government. But in the absence of a consensus leader within the BJP, now that is becoming difficult because Biren Singh has been removed by the party high command, and there are at least a minimum of 2 claimants to the top post within the BJP. So unless this issue is resolved, unless a consensus leader emerges, the installation of a popular government in Manipur is also unlikely to happen in the near future. But now that the situation is once again showing signs of going out of hand following last night's incident and the street protest that we are witnessing, I think the demand for installation of a popular government is only going to increase. And last night, some of the MLAs that I have spoken to after this street protest, they said that, they are also fearing that they could be the targets of the protesters because they will be accused. They are fearing that they will now once again be accused of for being unable to form a popular government in the state. So this is the situation in Manipur. Things are once again getting complex following this incident that we are witnessing since late last night. So on the whole, it's a very, very tense situation. Security forces are out in strength. Security forces have always been out in strength in Manipur, but now after yesterday's incident, there has been security reinforcements in the state capital and the Imphal Valley areas. Particularly. So that's what we are gathering. The protesters and the security forces are locking horns there, and the security forces have the authorities have clamped curfew, banned the internet services, and on their part, the protesters have imposed a 10-day shutdown, exempting only the media and medical emergency services. Amrita.
Absolutely, Vasbir. Before we end the bulletin, we have a few minutes left. Very quickly, Vasbir, I would like to draw your attention to the fact that when Minister Sanajoba was earlier speaking, we played that exclusive visual. Vasbir, he was clearly mentioning that बहुत कोशिश किया है शांति के लिए. He was especially mentioning that, and now, of course, we know that peace and law and order is the call of the hour in the state. Vasbir.
Absolutely, the MP Sanajoba was heard saying in that video clip that बहुत कोशिश किया है शांति बनाने के लिए, and he is almost, from what he's saying, is that he was unhappy at the arrest of some of these people last night. I think we should not use the word arrest because we don't know whether they've been arrested. I would leave it by saying that they were picked up, whether they were picked up for interrogation, whether they were picked up and eventually going to be arrested, or whether they're going to be released. That picture is not clear because, as I said, Northeast Live is trying to contact the authorities, whether it is the DGP, whether it is the Chief Secretary, whether it is the security advisor, or anybody responsible in the Manipur government at this point in time, to put up the government's point of view, because we don't know the government's point of view as of now as to whether anybody has been arrested, if so, why they were picked up. All these things we need to know, and the authorities have to tell us for the benefit of the general public as to what is going on, as to what triggered the violence, and that is what it is for the government and the authorities to tell us, because we are trying to contact them, but at the moment the authorities are also busy dealing with the prevailing situation in the Imphal Valley. And of course, the immediate steps that the authorities have taken, as I have said, is imposition of curfew in 5 valley districts, suspension of internet services, and trying to maintain law and order, because yesterday night there was a gunfight on the streets of Imphal. The protesters were also engaged in gunfight with the security forces. And this also once again goes to reinforce the fact that there are a lot of weapons at the hands of people. The weapons were earlier snatched during the peak of the ethnic violence, and large quantity of those weapons have not been returned or not been recovered yet. Therefore, they have those weapons in hand, or they may be having even other weapons, we don't know. So there has been a very, very tense situation, and unless there is a dialogue, unless the government comes out as to what is going on, it is very difficult for the media to speculate as to what really triggered the violence. But we have to depend on our sources. So we are telling us that at least 5 armed by Bengal men have been picked up last night by security agencies. But that is, again, I want to reinforce by saying that we are trying to ascertain details from the authorities as to what has been the trigger for this latest round of street violence. But right now, the challenge for Governor in Imphal will be to restore normality and engage in dialogue with engage all the stakeholders to bring about normalcy in the situation.
Right, Vasbir, thank you so much for a detailed overview on the unrest that broke out in Manipur last night. Authorities in the state have imposed curfew in Imphal Valley and shut down internet services as large-scale violence broke out late yesterday evening and continued throughout the night after at least 5 senior leaders of the Rambai Bengal were reportedly picked up by security agencies. The leaders, according to reports, were picked up around 9:30 p.m. And they shattered the fragile peace that we saw in Manipur over the past few months since President's rule was imposed. Protesters and security forces engaged in gunfights, and angry protesters were also seen past 11 p.m. near the Imphal airport, charging at security vehicles. According to reports, security vehicles were torched and some protesters suffered injuries during the process. Leaders were apparently picked up from Uripok on the basis of specific charges, and Northeast Live is trying to contact the authorities for details.
मखम जगह से निखिल कोली जगह ने अकोई पुल भाभी रो है कि फंक्शन में कोई जगह नहीं यहाँ में कारण था कि वह से अकोई में सीधा वाली हमारी अकोई में उसी तो वही जगह हमारी
accurate, credible,
responsible. No sensationalism.
Stories that matter.
Your station, your voice.
সন্ধিয়ালৈকে কাম কৰোতে কৰোতে সদায় গাৰ্বি হৈ যায়, তাৰ উপৰিও আকৌ মুটু বিষাইছে।
ওপৰতে হ'ব শুনজনী, ভিতৰ চোৱাটো খালি।
এতিয়া আৰু এখন ঘৰত মই একেবাৰে নাথাকো।
খবৰদাৰ, যদি নিজৰ কথা নাৰাখা নেমাৰিবা। সদায় সদায় ভাল নালাগে, সদায় সদায় কেৱল মালিচ ভাল লাগে। এয়া লোৱা আৰামৰ ৰজা 9বিধ বনৌষধিযুক্ত নৱৰত্ন তেল। মূৰৰ বিষ, ভাগৰ, টেনচন, অনিদ্ৰা আঁতৰ কৰিব ইয়াৰ 2 মিনিট মালিচ আৰু আপোনাক কৰি তুলিব কুল। নৱৰত্ন তেল।
Brighties Entertainments Private Limited presents Northeast Diva 2025. New season, new beginning, fashion, glamour and empowerment. Beauty with the purpose. Be the next Northeast Diva. Apply online at www.northeastdiva.com.